Okay. I thought last week's game against Shepherd was a great environment. I thought it was an outstanding trip as far as everything that went along with flying up there, and the kids handled that well. The players played extremely well defensively. Another great performance against some great players, their quarterback and their big receiver, Billy Brown. We shut him down by double teaming him, and the reason we're able to do that is because we have Filbert Marshall playing one-on-one with another exciting receiver that they had and doing a good job. You know, offensively, Jacob was the main show. He fought as hard as I've seen him fight, and which is pretty hard all the time. They had an excellent defensive front, and put a lot of pressure, but he was able to scramble. I think gained 170-something yards, but we had 6 sacks, so he lost some yards there. But that gives you an idea how much pressure he was under all day, and still did the things that took to win. We had some mistakes in the game. We turned it over twice. We had a big penalty on a 3rd down stop when we had them stopped on the first series, and they went on and scored their only touchdown. So, you know, we had to overcome some things that we made it more difficult on ourselves. Of course, we're excited about winning the game and going to play in the championship game. It's going to be a thrill that these young men have earned on the field all year long, and I hope they have a great experience, and it will be a great experience. Of course, obviously, we've never played in the championship game in Kansas City, but I'm sure their people are going to do a great job with it. It's really the closest thing that a Division II team can get to going to a bowl game. But yet, the prize at the end of the day is bigger than any bowl except for the one that plays the national championship. So, you know, it ought to be a fun time for the players, something that they deserve, and I hope they enjoy it, but keep focused on the game. Got a big challenge in Northwest Missouri. Great tradition for the last I guess, I don't know, 20 years, or, you know, their tradition started after I left in '95. So, I'm not as familiar as some of the people in this program that have been here for a long time are. But I was aware of it just by following the Division II football. And then, of course, when I got to West Alabama, I was in Division II again and following them. They are, a tremendous program that has won no matter who's coaching. Because they've had some great coaches, and they've continued to win. They are in a unique situation where they sit, where they're not recruiting against a whole lot of Division I schools, or them just really recruiting against people in their league. And they have great facilities and a great tradition to recruit to. So they've got a lot of talent. They had a lot of injuries in their game last week, but that, doesn't affect how we prepare for them. We can't worry about that situation. Got to be ready to play. But they do have 2 different offenses with their 2 different quarterbacks if their starter does not play. Number 12 was an all-state quarterback that has been playing wide receiver, and when he's in, they're much more of a running football team, especially with him running the ball. And, of course, number 15 is more of a passer. And drop back type player, and doesn't run as much. So we have to prepare for the starter, and then if he doesn't play, we got to prepare for the 2 different styles that they use with different quarterbacks. And as Jeff said, defensively, when you're number 1 in the country, you got to be pretty good. It's really close. I mean, I think they give up 12 points a game, and we give up 13-something points a game. So I mean, it's not a drastic difference between the 2. It's a great compliment to both defenses, and we've got to challenge ourselves to not let the weather bother us. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It can just change a few things that you concentrate on, and we won't know about that until we wake up Saturday morning. But the bottom line is, you can't let the weather affect how bad you want a national championship. And I think we have to talk about that. We can't just assume that everybody's going to not realize that what's at stake, and don't worry about being cold for 3 hours. And that's what they got to work. That's what we got to overcome.
Barbara, how do you kind of piggybacking on the weather? How do you kind of prepare your guys as best as you can leading into Saturday, considering the elements could be a factor on Saturday, and of course playing on natural grass for just the second time this season?
Of course, the natural grass, I'm really not worried about. I think this, for instance, a good example, and I've seen pictures of it, on Friday, we're going to go to the stadium, but they're not even going to let us on the field. We can't even walk on the field. That's telling me they're taking pretty good care of that field, and it looks like it. And so I think it will be in such good shape that the field itself, unless we got some unforeseen snow and rain that got it all wet, and I bet it has a drainage system in it. But the bottom line is I don't think the field's going to be an issue. And as far as the weather, it's just, these guys, they've lived in we've had cold weather before. They know what it's like. It's not like we're going to something we've never experienced, but we got to be sure we don't worry about it so much that it distracts us from getting ready for the game. And that's the main thing.
James, I want to ask you, man, when you look at the film of Northwest Missouri, and you look at Zimmerman, you look at some of the two backup guys that played last week, do you see much of a drop-off between two backups and the starter?
Well, with the backup, they like to run the ball more, but it's not really a setback in their offense. They still score points. They still manage the offense well, and I just can't wait for the challenge.
Is this the most dynamic offense you've seen on film thus far this season?
Yeah, I think it is, and it'll be a good challenge for us. See where we're at, see how good our defense is, but we're ready for the challenge.
Jacob, you have to get excited, obviously, because it's the national championship, but more importantly, you're playing against another elite defense. You play against it every day in practice. Just discuss the challenges facing a Bearcat defense that's statistically ranked as the best in the country.
Yeah, so this time of year, every defense you're going to face is going to be pretty good. That's why teams make it this far, and we've faced some good defense. Shepherd had a good defense last week, a really good defense. But we were able to pick up on what they did and adjust to how they played us in different formations, different sets, stuff like that. And our coaches had a good game plan coming into it. So the biggest thing is just knowing our assignments, knowing our roles, and the coaches coming up with a game plan and us trusting the game plan, because at the end of the day, there's no defense that's unbeatable. There's always going to be something that's going to work. There's always going to be something that's going to score that touchdown, and so we just have to study film and know what's going to do that, then go out and execute that on Saturday. So the stats, they've had a great season. Can't take anything away from them, but at the end of the day, like I said, there's always going to be a hole in the defense somewhere, and we just got to find that hole and execute.
Bobby, are they similar to any team in the GSC you faced, in West Georgia or something like that?
I'd say they are. They're similar to West Georgia, subtract some speed. They're not as fast as West Georgia, but they are schematically very much like West Georgia. A lot of trick plays, a lot of wheel routes, a lot of things like that and try to out-formation you. And then the offensive line is probably the best offensive line we've faced since Jacksonville State. That's why I compare them to West Georgia. Schematically, they're a lot like West Georgia. Offensive line, they're a lot like West Georgia. They just don't have the speed West Georgia had in the backfield and at the receivers. But they're not slow. Don't take that wrong. West Georgia was very fast.
Kevin, how does it feel to be playing such a big game in your home state?
It's fun. I got a lot of family coming down that I haven't seen in a while, and it's going to be a fun time.
When I was describing the game at Shepherd, I talking about Jacob Muffins, I also need to say that Kevin Hickey had 3 big-time field goals for us that one and the last one iced the game. And that was a huge kick with a lot of pressure.
Kevin and Coach, your thought process last week, knowing that your number was called a handful of times to deliver, especially in the fourth quarter, and then that has to be a huge asset for you, Bobby, knowing that you really have it going in all facets of the game, and know you can count on someone to kind of deliver when you need him.
Well, there's no question. Not only is he consistent, which is the most important thing for me for a kicker. You know, whether he can kick a 55-yard field goal or whether he can only kick a 45-yard field goal, that's only going to come to play a few times. What I want to know is when we get in the red zone, are we coming away with points when I look at kickers? And Kevin has been the most consistent since I've been back here. And then at the same time, he can kick the 55-yard field goal. So that's just added, you know, that just adds to it. So I think he's one of the best kickers in the country.
Mentally, Kevin, what is it, I mean, for you, just, you know, last week alone, just your thought process, you know, knowing that you needed to be counted on, especially late in the game?
Well, it helps out a lot because we have a great snapper and a great holder. So with them, it makes my job that much easier, and I don't have to worry about too much. So.
James, it's probably been a while since you tackled Jacob, but you've been here 5 years. What makes him so elusive? Why is he so hard to bring down?
He's just fast. He's a running quarterback, obviously. He's hard to game plan for running quarterbacks. It's easier to game plan for quarterbacks to stay in the pocket, and it's just athlete. It's just athlete. He can play any position on offense, I think. Skill position.
You glad you don't have to tackle him again?
Oh yeah, I'm glad he's on my team.
I'm also glad he doesn't have to tackle him.
What about Bobby? I mean, you've had so many great quarterbacks. What makes him so special for breaking those tackles and getting out and making good games?
Well, I think it's his strength, number one, his competitiveness. He's not going to give in, which sometimes I wish he would. But when we recruited Jacob, we talked about if he can't play quarterback, because I'm going to tell you, recruiting a high school quarterback is the hardest evaluation in the world. So when we were talking about signing Jacob, we said, well, if he can't play quarterback, he can either play linebacker or safety. So there's your mentality right there. And so he plays offense with that kind of mentality. It's a toughness, it's a competitiveness. And then what I think surprises everybody, what James said, is that people don't realize how fast he is. And then you get in the game and he's outrunning the defenders that are pursuing him. And I think that's a shock to teams we play.
What type of leader has he developed into as a starter this year? What type of leader has Jacob developed into, Bobby, this year as the starter?
Well, I mean, he's been a great leader from day one. He was a great leader when he wasn't the starter. That's number one. He's also a great leader off the field. He's president of the Gus Al Conference Student Advisory Committee and our UNA Student Advisory Committee. I mean, that speaks volumes of what he's done. He's been to Arizona, the leadership councils or whatever you call that. And, you know, he's just he's a natural leader, and our players respect him because he leads by example also. He's going to work as hard as anybody in the weight room. He's going to run as hard as anybody in sprints. He's going to be the, you know, first one on the practice field or right at it, and he's going to play hard every time he plays. I mean, you know, what else can you look for? I mean, you know, it's and he's a good student. Great academics. So, you know, it's hard to find something that you wish he would do a little better because I don't know what it is.
Coach, how does it feel to be back in the national title game after 21 years?
It's a great feeling. Great feeling. I'm just excited about it for these kids, but to sit here and lie to you and say it doesn't mean a lot to me to be able to get us back here would be a lie.
Coach, you look to your left and to your right, you got guys that have been in your program for 4 or 5 years even, and you said, you know, it means a lot to you to get those guys there, but, you know, just to see them develop since 2012, what does that mean to you as well?
You know, to see my dream of how I would want this program to be when I first came here to come to you know, we hadn't finished it. You know, my dream is we hold under the trophy Saturday. That's my, you know, the final dream. But even if we don't, to do with 4 straight conference championships, playing in the national championship game, graduating all these guys, all the GPA being so high, I just, you know, I'm proud of them because they're the ones that did all this. We give them leadership and what we want them to do, but they got to do it. And so I'm real proud for them.
For all the players, what makes Bobby Wallace so special for you all to play under throughout your also respective careers?
Well, you know, I'll just say, you know, coming in 2012, and you hear that Coach Wallace was back at UNA, and that was a big thing for the university. The university was really excited for it. And then, you know, as for me, who wasn't, you know, familiar with UNA and the football tradition, you know, before I was recruited, you know, I started looking into it. It's like, you know, this guy's, he's been there, he's done it, he's been tested and he's proven himself. You know, so as a high school student, high school athlete coming into college, that was big for me. So right off the bat, you know, I put my trust into his program and his process, and you know, like I said, he's been there and he's done it. So, you know, when you have guys that come in and trust the coach and trust his process, and you have guys that are committed to doing what the coach wants, especially when you have a coach that's done all that he's done, you know, things run so much smoother, and you're able to accomplish more things because people aren't second guessing, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, why didn't coach do this? Why, you know, because we believe in him and we trust what he does, and it's worked out pretty well for us.
I mean, I was never played football in high school, and I came from St. Louis, and I still heard about Bobby Walsh and how much of a legend he is at Florence. So, and I didn't even play football, so I didn't know anything about him, and I still heard about him. So that's how highly he's talked about.
Well, first for me, just for giving me a chance to play the game I love since I was playing since 5 years old, and to play here. I don't want to play anywhere else. It's loyalty to us, not only to me, but to everybody on the football team. And I wouldn't want to play anywhere else than North Carolina.
Guys, Coach mentioned it's like a bowl game. How'd that feel for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I don't know if it's fully sunk in yet. You know, it probably will whenever we're flying over Kansas City about to land. But you know, you kind of hear, you know, about the things that are going to go on. You know, we've got a banquet we've got to go to. We're going to go to a children's hospital and spend the day with them, and so, you know, kind of the plan is, you know, we're going to get treated, you know, like we're the big time Division I athletes that are playing in these bowl games and these championships. So to kind of have that feeling going into it, you know, it kind of puts a smile on your face you really can't wipe off, because it's something that a lot of people don't get to experience, and here we're, you know, flying out tomorrow and you know, just a couple of days away from playing the national championship game, and it's a pretty special feeling.
Bobby, they've been here, they were here last year, out there last year, they've been through this experience. It changed the schedule up. Does that give them a little bit of an advantage in this situation?
Well, I mean, they've got an advantage. I mean, that's just like we had an advantage when we won here at Brawley Stadium. I mean, when you're in your own hometown, you know, our families are worried about how they're going to get there, where they're going to stay, where they're going, you know, their families are probably, you know, going through the same routine they have all year long, whether they live close by or not. So, and then, you know, we'll have a huge crowd. I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting people going out there, but they'll have probably a bigger crowd. I mean, it's like we're the visitors and they're the home team. We're wearing the white jerseys. That's fine. We wore them a lot this year, and so, yeah, I mean, they'll have an advantage as far as that, but that doesn't win the game for them. The game's played on the field, and what we've got to do is realize we'll be 4 nights in a hotel, going, like Jacob said, going to banquets, going to press conference. Practice will be open to the media. A lot of interviews, a lot of people are in the lobby. You know, that's things that are like bowl games. That's when I said that. And it's a great experience if you handle it. If you handle it right, it's a great experience.
Is it a good thing, Bobby, that you have such a veteran group that you believe they can kind of handle that leading up into Saturday?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to have a 12 o'clock curfew Wednesday, but I didn't even want to. I mean, we don't have a curfew when we play in Florence. Why do we got to have a curfew there? But coaches talked me into it. I trust these guys. I trust them.
The curfew for the coaches also.
Well, now that one might break some rules, and then I had to send them home. But no, having a veteran group is huge. You know, it's when we eat, but in a buffet style place, you know, it's seniors first, juniors next. by the time we get to the sophomores and freshmen, out of our 60, there was 11 guys left. So that means 49, I guess, if my math's right, are juniors and seniors. And a lot of them are red shirts, just like James and Jacob, 5-year guys. Kevin's going to come back next year for his 5th year. And so, they're older, they're more mature, and they know what's at stake. That's what I like about this team. I haven't talked much to them about things. I mean, ESPN wants to come in the locker room for a pep talk, they'd be disappointed. I mean, there's not one. And so, I trust them that they know what we're playing for. We talk about it a lot sometimes on Thursday.
Getting back to their quarterback situation, how difficult is it, though, at the end of the day, to prepare for 3 quarterbacks in a short period of time?
I think because we're so diverse on defense, I don't think it's as difficult as people would think. I mean, the last few games we've played a 4-man front, we've played a 3-man front, we've played man, we've played zone, we've double covered, and all those packages, the coaches have done, Chris and the other coaches have done a great job of blending those together to where we can adjust in a minute, but we might call different defenses based on which quarterback's in the game, but it's stuff we've been doing all year long. It's not anything that we're putting in. So, this is a week that you don't try to outsmart yourself. You play with what's gotten you this far and go with it.
How big of a help was it to see both their backups in the game last week?
Oh, that's big, because we wouldn't have a clue if they got hurt late in the game and they were already ahead and they just put 15 in and handed it off the rest of the game, and we hadn't seen 12, 15 a lot. We might get caught by surprise, but again, we would be able to go to something, but it might be after a touchdown. Might be 1 score too late. So now we know going in.
Is the biggest thing just identifying quickly which quarterback is?
Yeah, well, we do that with personnel. That's why you see when we play so many people running off and on the field, we have so many different packages. And depending on the personnel that comes in the game from the press box to Chris, is based on which package he goes with. And so every package has 2 or 3 different people have to change out. And Filbert, some packages go from a corner to an inside slot corner, whatever you call that. And so all they'll be looking for now is the personnel, but then they'll add to it the quarterback, and that might dictate what we call.
Jacob, you played sparingly your first 3 years here, and now you're the starter. Certainly a talent that probably could have played a lot of other places if you would have opted to test yourself somewhere else, but you stayed here. Remember, you told me a long time ago that they were loyal to you, so you wanted to stay loyal to them. Is this some level of validation for you, or has that been through the whole process anyway?
No, it's it's definitely added validation, I guess. I don't know how to word that, but just the process of being here, for 5 years, being in this program, being under Coach Wallace's lead, going to this university and all the things that come with that. It's been a process that's turned me into who I am today, and that's something I couldn't repay, because I feel like I came in here a boy and walked out a man, and that's something that I owe to this football program and what it's put me through. So playing in the national championship, obviously it's every guy's dream when they sign the dotted line to play somewhere. So that's definitely some added validation, if you want to put it like that. But the process has been more than I could have asked for. It's shaped me into somebody that's going to make the future me a better person, and that's what I'm most excited about this process.
All right, so I'll be available for a one-on-one interview if you have any needs there.